Hello peeps, it's a hillbilly halfwit and today we're doing a sit down video and we're going to talk about Jess Phillips, grooming gangs, council spaffing our money up the walls and a few other things. So let's get straight to it. And please subscribe down there if you don't mind because it doesn't cost you anything. Just press that button, like and share, and it really helps me out. Let's get going. The content in this video is intended for comedic purposes only. The views expressed in this video are not to be taken as factual information or a representation of my personal beliefs. I am critically reviewing the info and videos I show as examples. Right then. I wasn't going to do this video because a few others are doing it, but it's very important that people see all this. Very important because they're trying to hide it all. They're trying to brush it under the carpet when it's happening to young people in our country. It's an absolute disgrace. Now, I've picked up a few things to start with, and we're going to go through, and we're going to go through this in a bit of detail as we go through. But there's a few things I wanted to show you at the start. There's this guy, Peter Lloyd. I'm not on Twitter, so I just copied this of something I saw. I thought it was quite right. The far right doesn't drive into crowds. The far right doesn't target Christmas markets. The far right doesn't blow up pop concerts. The far right doesn't gang rape white girls. The far right aren't 90% of MI5's terror list. The far right isn't a problem. Now, this is what Keir Starmer says. The far right is a very real threat, says Keir Starmer. Oh, is it? Well, as I've just said above, I don't think it is. I think it's what is happening. They are using this to stop legitimate talking about subjects. Now, this is something I talked about in my videos ages ago, and I knew I'd seen it, and I just happened to find it the other day. This is your Mayor of London. When I was younger, he was a real nut job for terrorism. Sadiq Khan outside Wood Hill prison in 2004, protesting against the imprisonment of jihadis. He was like this all the time. He was an extreme political protester. And the thing you realise, once you see through all this, you will realise that these people start getting into the House of Lords because they're working with the very people that are putting them into the House of Lords, like Peter Hain did. He was protesting against the anti-Nazi League. He's in the House of Lords. Supposed to be just protesters, but they're actually being employed by the people, the state. Now, that's all allegedly, but you can see how it all works. This guy is employed by the state, as I showed you in a previous video. Right then, let's go and see what's been spaffed up the wall by the councils in our country. Fury as civil servants get whopping 30 million of shopping vouchers at taxpayers' expense. The UK's 542,000 civil servants has received good behaviour bonuses totaling 30 million, double the amount they were given 2 years ago. Now, I'm not talking about the lower down scale. I'm talking about the people who were up near the top, spaffing it all away. Now, 30 million doesn't sound like a lot until you realise in Wales, the total agricultural budget in Wales is 330 million. So once you see these things, you realise how much 30 million is. How £1 in every £4 of council tax is now spent on incredibly lavish staff pensions. And that's by David Churchill. He's a political correspondent. I've seen this in another place too. So £1 in every 4 of our council tax is being spent on council's pension scheme. That makes me feel really great, that does not. Nearly 25% of council tax receipts are now spent on staff pensions. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is getting ridiculous. And you have to remember, in Wales, over 50% of everything we spend is on councils. I think it's 70%, because they don't make anything anymore. They're stopping everything that we make with coal and steel and things like that. We're just receiving all the time. Now, there was another one I had on here, which I couldn't find. I took a screenshot of, where there was a huge amount of councillors working abroad and getting paid as if they're working in this country. And not for a week, for 2 years on holiday and then working online. It's unreal. Now, this is something I thought was great. A gimmigrant. A noun, a person who has come to a different country in order to reside there permanently, live for free and receive all benefits paid by the taxpayers, but who has no intention of working or abiding by the laws of this said country. When they don't get their own way, they play the discrimination card. Immigrant. Remember that one. 4 asylum seekers costing the taxpayer an estimated £160,000 a year, now living in a £570,000 luxury home and accused of faking their Afghan nationalities to get into the UK. This is the UK now. What the hell is going on? I can't be the only people that sees this is an actual policy by our state. Now, this is Rupert Lowe again. He's found some other things out, so listen to this. This is simply staggering. I have verified the source of this information as reliable from a GP practice in London. On a daily average at this practice, just 8% of all appointments are used by British citizens. 51% of patients require an interpreter at the taxpayer's expense, also in effect taking a double appointment. 72% of all sick notes are issued to patients who do not speak English. 92% of appointments at this practice being taken by foreign nationals, over half requiring interpretation. This is not what NHS was designed for. This is not what we pay our taxes for. Uncontrolled mass immigration has failed the British people. And he's right. People may pull their noses or pull faces when he says that, but that is true. 8% of this place in London is being used by British citizens. It's unreal. And you're apparently far right for mentioning that, which is very bizarre. As of October 2024, an Oxford University study estimated that there were up to 745,000 illegal migrants in the UK, which is more than any other European country. This is equivalent to 1 in 100 of the UK's population. Number of people crossing the English Channel in small boats for 2024, 33,684. Number of asylum applications, 99,700 in the 12 months up to September. Number of people waiting for initial asylum decision, 133,409 at the end of September, with nearly 2/3 waiting for more than a year. The UK's undocumented population is made up of people from many regions, including Asia, Sub-Saharan Africa, the Americas, the Middle East, and Northern Africa. Most undocumented people have lived in the UK for more than 5 years, and many came as children. Apparently, you're not allowed to say these statistics are ruining our country. How to register with a GP surgery. This is off the NHS website. Anyone in England can register with a GP surgery to access NHS services. It's free to register. You do not need proof of address or immigration status, ID, or an NHS number. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely, they are taking the mick out of us all. Now we're going on to this Jess Phillips business. Now this is a guy, it's called Sam Ashworth Hayes, and he was saying how parents who were attempting to rescue their children who who were being abused by these people were being arrested themselves. We read cases where a child was doused in petrol and threatened with being set alight. Children were also threatened with guns. Children who witnessed brutality, violent rapes, and were threatened that they would be the next victim if they told anyone. Girls as young as 11 were raped by large numbers of male perpetrators, one after the other. And this is a quote from one of the girls: "What's the point? I might as well be dead." In two of the cases, we read fathers tracked down their daughters and tried to remove them from the houses where they were being abused, only to be arrested themselves when police were called to the scene. In a small number of cases which have already received media attention, the victims were arrested for offences such as breach of the peace or being drunk and disorderly, with no action taken against the perpetrators. This is the UK. Now, the reason I brought this up is because Labour rejects call for Oldham grooming gang inquiry. So this is the 2nd of January 2025. Jess Phillips rejected calls for a Home Office-led inquiry into historic, I can't say that word because it'll be stopped, in Oldham. So this has all come about because the guy, Elon Musk, has spoken up about it. Like him or not, he's got this into the media, into the top of the media. I think he's going to end up getting in trouble over it, but he has. So why would a self-proclaimed feminist refuse to hold an inquiry into the Oldham rape gangs? Jess Phillips presents herself as a champion to women and girls, yet won't stand up for her in this case. That's from Tom Harris. No, this is from her herself a few years ago. How many Telfords before we get serious about child grooming? Jess Phillips. And she says, sexual exploitation scandals are not going away. We must reach vulnerable children before the grooming gangs do. So that's in 2018. She's changed her tune, hasn't she? Now, this is another one of these celebrities. Look, Narinder Kaur. And so she's gone against the grooming gangs. People for saying anything about it. With all this talk about Jess Phillips, Starmer, and the grooming gangs being brought to the open forefront, with so much misinformation being thrown around yet again, we are literally a tweet or two away from race riots again. I'm absolutely petrified for brown communities. So if you look down below, Rosalind Cole has shared her previous tweet from Narinder. Is this another Pakistani paedophile gang? What the fuck? Cover their own women up and abuse the rest. Makes me sick. So which one of those is the real view of hers, eh? Because they're just picking political sides, not doing the right thing. So this is Jess Phillips. Who is she? Safeguarding. She's an MP for Birmingham Yardley. 21% of her electorate is Pakistani. 15,400 Pakistani votes. 11,275 votes for her at the last election, and Labour held it with a 700 majority. So this is why she's not releasing, doing this grooming gang inquiry. Plain and simple, to keep herself in a job. That's what it's all about. So this is from Martin Daubney from GB News. Rape gang leader was employed by Oldham Council. Shabir Ahmed, who led rape gang in Rochdale, was employed as a welfare rights officer by Oldham Council. That's why Oldham needs a full national external inquiry. It cannot mark its own homework. When you see it, like I tell you, you can see the people in charge were deciding their own homework. Now, the same thing is going on in Ireland. I just took this off a website. In Ireland, they're all making things up. It's just on and on and on. It's a sham. We're being pushed. We're being pushed out. Let's be quite honest about it. We have been pushed out of our own country, especially out of the cities, and we're being bullied and not to say anything about it. So click on this and read it yourself. Ireland's in a bad state. We're all in a bad state. So even Labour councillors are quitting. There's a group of 20 councillors have quit Labour. Some 20 members of the party's group from Broxtowe Borough Council, including leader Milan Radoulovic, claimed Sir Keir Starmer had abandoned traditional Labour values. I don't think he's ever had them, because he's a communist, in my opinion, being used by the state. That's the video today, peeps. There's a few things in there. I had to put this up because you cannot cover up these things like this, which they have been doing. So I got to put a video up like this. I know some people, I don't like seeing it myself, but you've just got to accept reality sometimes. So please comment and like and share and press that subscribe button down below to see more of the Hillbilly Halfwit. Everything I share is true. Some people don't like it, but truth hurts sometimes, doesn't it? All the best, Gaz. Ta-da.